Hi y'all, I'm Allison. Welcome to the Mighty BuJo. So it's time to set up another weekly layout in my bullet journal, and we're gonna do a double page spread with an Easter theme. But instead of going with the colorful eggs and Easter bunny, this time I'm gonna do a rabbit with some carrots. But first, here's a look back at my first week of the month. I got a lot done despite being called out of town. I had to go up to Chicago unexpectedly. And this week's layout is going to be more of an illustrated look instead of the bright, colorful cartoons. Now we're going to start this out slow. So if you want to draw along with me, then you'll be able to see what I'm doing, hopefully. And then once the pencil sketching is done, I'll pick up the speed while we're coloring in. I'm also going to be showing y'all the numbers of the Tombows that I'm using in case you want to duplicate this in your own book. And I think this would be a really good layout to use the week after Easter, since, like I mentioned, there's no Easter eggs in it this time. I'm going more with a outdoor garden theme, and I think it turns out really good. I'm quite proud of this. I wasn't quite sure if I was going to be able to pull it off, so I did sketch this in pencil really lightly first before I decided to commit and actually put it in my book. So if you see that faint pencil lines underneath, that's why. Speaking of pencil lines, you always want to erase those before you go in, otherwise they'll bleed through your colors. To do the little bunny, I'm using 2 different shades of brown and then a pink for the inside of his ears and his nose. And depending on what kind of book you're using for your bullet journal, this is a Leuchtturm 1917. The Tombows can streak a little, so if you're using the same one and you notice that, just use that streaking to your advantage, and it'll give you a little bit of a texture and a fur look to it. And then you can kind of blend your colors in a little bit together, and you end up with a cute fuzzy looking bunny. I also kind of wiggled those lines to give it more of a fur texture instead of drawing a straight line. Isn't he cute? And then you go in where there would be overlap or shading with your really dark brown. And I think he turns out quite realistic and adorable. Down here, we're going to put some carrots on the ground for him. And I'm using 2 different shades of orange, keeping the lighter shade on the left, and 2 shades of green, keeping the lighter shade on the left. And it gives it a more vibrant look and more of an illustrated. You can't really see the shading as well in the camera as you can in person, but it looks really good, trust me. So up here, I've got the little boxes for my weekly grid. And then down here, framing out a box for, I believe, next week is what goes in there. But first, we need the little calendar for April and to put the days of the week in. Over here, we're going to have another bunny with some more carrots. Wanted to see if I could do it again without practicing first. So you just draw your little upside down U's for your carrots and some squiggles up top for the greens. And just vary their size and where they're located. I thought we'd have a big one laying on the ground. And up here, or down here rather, we've got another little bunny, but this time we're going to be looking more from a top-down view. So it's just a big oval, give him a couple of legs, and then a circle for his head, and then drew the ears out from the top. Didn't quite like his head, so I decided to change it just a little bit, which I think makes a big difference. I brought the circle in closer and changed the location of the which way the ears were going. And then I decided to move that carrot closer to him. Erase any lines that are overlapping to remind you not to do that line later. So again, start with the lighter color. And then go in with your darker shade. This looks so awesome in person, and I wish the camera had picked up the variation of the colors a little better. But I think you can get the general idea. And down here, I'm just kind of randomly coloring in light and dark to give him some texture and to look like his fur is not all one color. And then I've got 3 shades of brown for the ground. And then using a thicker marker, I did the outline on the carrots and a fine one to add some lines to the greens and the little stripes inside the carrots. And also, since our bunny's little, I used a fine tip for the outlining on the bunny as well. Give him an eyes, part of a nose, and over here you can see better how I did the details on the carrots. So now it's simply a matter of putting the last of my boxes for this page so I can have all of the information I need. I'm not doing my mini challenge this month. I'm just way too busy. I've got things to do around the house. So instead, I'm going to be focused on my spring cleaning, and I need to get it in gear and get all this stuff done. And to really emphasize that, I decided to put a light blue behind the focus box and around my next week. But there we go. A great Easter layout. I hope you enjoy it and keep an eye out for my next one. Have an incredible Easter, everyone. I'll see you next time. Bye now.